4 more peppers to harvest today. That's what I had to water everything, and then I had to harvest peppers.
You've got quite the. How many peppers is that now? Like 12?
That's quite a few. I say 4. One of them, the top is a little bit soft, almost like it was. When you roast a pepper, how it feels. Yeah. That's what it feels like. So I'm like, maybe those hot days did a little bit of work to this one, but I don't know. I still stuck it in the fridge because maybe it'll be good, but we'll see.
Turn that into a nice salad.
Yeah, maybe one bowl of it. The peppers are very small.
But they're fresh. They're as fresh as you can get.
True. Very true. Sorry, I'm filling up my water.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can hear some gluggy in the background. That's just Sam drinking from his giant hamster water bottle.
Yeah. I've got the giant water bottle, and because I was, I get everything ready for work. Oh, hey, I didn't know Streamlabs told us about followers. That must be new. I don't even have Streamlabs.
Well, they know about you.
I guess I enabled it. It's been a long time since I dug in the underbelly of the Audio Shop Twitch, but thank you, Foregathers. I think that's... Do we not have notifications? I guess I don't have notifications enabled because that'd be kind of annoying for the 2 people that go back and watch it on YouTube. What's my train of thought?
Peppers.
No, I was talking about water.
No, water.
Because I get ready for work the night before.
Mm-hmm.
My water filter can only keep up so much. So I used it to fill up my 1.5 liter water bottle that I take to work. And then I put the rest of it into the kettle. Because I have to put filtered water in that or else the calcium builds up like crazy. Even with
and then you get milk
softener. Yeah. Yeah, that's how you get a vanilla yoo-hoo. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I could go for a nice yoo-hoo right now.
It's just chocolate mixed into water, Cooper.
I like both those things.
Probably with a bit of cornstarch to thicken it a tiny bit.
I like all those things that you're saying.
But I just finished my Thai peanut chicken.
Ooh, how was it?
Oh, it's so good. I haven't had that was the most substantial thing I've eaten, in a bit, so I'm sweating a bit, got the
meat sweats.
It wasn't even that much meat. It was 4 chicken thighs mixed throughout the whole thing that's going to last me a week, so it's not much meat. A lot of green beans though.
I do like green beans.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I severely upped the amount of green beans because you're only supposed to put 1 pound in there. I think I put 3. So they're a little crisp still. They're supposed to go all soft because it's a slow cooker recipe. I even had it in there for an hour longer than it was supposed to go. But well.
Hey, if it did taste good.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what matters.
I put in 4 times the recommended amount of peanut butter as well.
Oh, thick.
Yeah, I mean it calls for 1/4 of a cup of peanut butter. I'm like, that's not enough. And it's not. I make this recipe quite a bit. I up the amount of peanut butter every time.
You're just going to be eating peanut butter with bits of chicken in it soon.
No. I think this was the right amount. I might need to up the amount of Thai chili paste or whatever the heck the paste is, because it's throughout the whole recipe. You're only supposed to use 3 tablespoons, which is not very much for how much food there is. So I upped it to the entire little glass bottle. It's $3. It's not that bad. But even that's it's not really enough anymore. I might need to try and find a wholesaler for it for how much I use it.
Go to Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Get a gallon.
If they had it there, that'd be godsend. Because I mean, the thing I buy it in, I say little glass thing. It's probably 3 ounces or 4 ounces. It's not very big. It's very tiny.
And you need more.
Mm-hmm.
You demand more.
Because I tried a little bit of the paste today, and it's pretty spicy, but it gets lost in the coconut milk and the peanut butter. It just needs more of that spice.
What kind of paste do you use?
I think it's red Thai curry paste.
Okay. If you have a Asian market near you, that's where you can find the real stuff.
Yeah, I need to. There's a couple things.
And those come in big quantities too.
Yeah, I just need to get off.
And they're much better, honestly.
Because I need to get some bulk spices too, because that's the best way to. Like buying spices in normal grocery store, they just rip you off.
Yeah, it's like $5 for like a little thing.
Yeah, go to an Asian grocery store. Oh, that's where the good stuff is. I've still got some of the spices that you guys left in the apartment.
Hey, spices don't go bad usually.
No, I mean one of them is a big industrial bag of turmeric, so I'm never gonna run out of that.
Wait, who bought an industrial bag of turmeric?
I think Malia did.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thankfully, it's mostly empty, but still, it's like I haven't touched this since I got it, so maybe I need to get rid of it. I don't really use turmeric for that much.
Unless you're making some paella.
Oh, sorry, I'm really phlegmy today.
Take a big jug of water.
Yeah, I've got my cactus cup here full of water. That's what I was pouring water out into.
Hey, well, you wanna jump in it?
Sure. I mean, I was actually surprised with how short this album was. I forgot. I was thinking, 45 minutes, but it was like...
That's not. It doesn't even crack 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was bad. I almost hit stop streaming. Let's change things.
Well, that's it for today, folks.
All right, let me roll it over. Hello.
Decided every review from now on, it's just going to be us saying the length of the album and then nothing else.
Yep. Well, honestly, I thought about... I probably will do this at some point, going back through and just doing a supercut of all of the shit talking we do at the beginning of the album and just cutting that all together and releasing that for no reason. I just thought it'd be funny.
Audio shop without the audio.
Audio shop without music.
We'll call it shop talk.
Perfect. There you go. Shop talk supercut. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Audio Shop podcast. This week, we're talking about a very, a little unheard of album.
A hidden gem, I think is the term.
By this indie band called the Beatles.
I think it's pronounced Beatles.
Oh, sorry, the Beatles.
It's spelled wrong, so maybe that's just an oversight on their part.
But it's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yes, kidding aside, this is probably, I don't want to say the most famous album of all time, but if it was like in that discussion, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, it's going to be one of the Beatles albums. Yes,
and this is arguably their most famous.
Well, really, even above Abbey Road?
I'd say even above Abbey Road.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just like the number of people who own this album and talk about this album.
True.
I mean, then again, a lot of the Beatles albums are up there, but I won't bore you with too many details about the Beatles overall. I mean,
Cooper, you might want to go into depth because what other audio podcast that talks about music or long form video content would ever talk about the Beatles?
That's true. We might be breaking new ground here.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about English rock band The Beatles, formed in Liverpool in 1960. It's got John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, George Harrison. Widely regarded as one of the most influential bands of all time. And they're certainly the best-selling music act of all time. Over 600 million units worldwide. Note that this is over a career that spanned, 10 years? Like 1960 to 1970. So 600 million in over 10 years. That's pretty good, I'd say.
I always say, die young and leave a pretty corpse.
I mean, a lot of them went on to have very successful solo careers as well. By a lot of them, I mean all of them. They've had the most number one record. They've had 15 number one albums. 20 number one hits on the Billboard 100. They've received 7 Grammys, more awards than you can shake a stick at.
Cooper. Ah, crap, not this again. Oh, well, looks like it's just you and me, foregathers. Maybe Cooper will come back to us someday. This is going to be really awkward if his internet went out. And then we'll have to end the stream and push it off to next week. Yeah, he's not gonna I should probably text him. He probably doesn't even know he's gone. Oh gosh. We've made it so far without technical difficulties. I mean, I guess I can talk a little bit about my experience with the Beatles. When I was a wee... Sorry, let me get the proper voice for that. When I was a wee lad, my dad had... I don't know if it was every Beatles album, but it was most of them. I believe he got them from his brother. So they were almost always on. Okay. He just texted me. His power did go out. And there he goes from Discord. Let's see. Is it back on? That's not a good sign. I keep telling him that he's gonna start hearing about, because he lives in California, right? Near LA, I think. I'm not entirely positive. But obviously they're going through the mega drought of the century, probably just century. And he hasn't heard anything about it other than from me. It's like I see in the news, it's not news, it's weather websites when I check the radar. It's talking about the water levels of the reservoirs that they have there and how they're reaching new lows, and he hasn't heard a peep. So it'll be interesting to see if it all happens at once, or hopefully nothing happens. That's the ideal situation. But I was reading was it a paper, or it might have just been an article the other day saying that the weather patterns that we became used to in the West, after doing analysis on tree rings, it turns out they were wetter than average, which is not good, because this is in geologic time, so that stretches from like the 1900s to now. So the entire time the West was being settled by America, not including the Native Americans, because they probably wouldn't have fucked it up as bad as we did. They built the system for way more water than actually normally would fall there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years of this. You didn't think you'd get environmental talk on Audio Shop this week, did you? He's still not back online. So let's see. Oh, he's booting, he said. Well, so much for him getting out of here quickly like he was wanting to. Slowly but surely coming back. What else can I talk about? Gonna be honest, I don't remember where he was in this little spiel. Hopefully he does, because it stopped when his power went out, so he probably remembers where he was on that. I will say, there's, as you know, if you were, God, my fucking throat. There we go. That should be good. As you know, if you're a regular listener of the podcast, I am quite the ELO listener, and it has been quite some time. I haven't really listened to the Beatles since probably before college. So it's been a hot second. But going back to them, I can really hear why, was it Lennon or McCartney? One of them said that ELO basically was what the Beatles would have sounded like if they stayed together. Which I don't know. I think he made that comment before Bop came out. So that's, take that with a grain of salt. I need to get Cooper to do Balance of Power one of these days. Like we gotta save stuff for Thanksgiving. We're running out of stuff for Thanksgiving. We're running out of Gorillaz albums for yearly anniversaries. Although if we just take another half-year hiatus, then maybe they'll come out with another Gorillaz album. But I don't know. I don't know what the status of Song Machine 2 is. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Hey, apologies for that. Had a bit of a power trip there.
Cooper, I can't believe that you're so unprofessional that you forgot to load up your backup generator.
Yeah, no, it's actually a hand crank, but I lost the crank, You
just got a little bottom of like a electric bike there that you just pedal on to keep it going.
It's super loud. I'm completely out of breath the entire review. No, apologies for that. I'm assuming you went over the rest of the history.
Nope, I forgot where you were instantly.
Wow.
I instantly went into damage recovery mode.
I think I was talking about the Beatles. Yeah, they sold a lot. Sgt. Pepper is like one of their most famous albums. That also sold a lot. I'll skip the rest of the formalities. We're obviously just shooting from the hip now.
Yeah. They did a lot of drugs. They burned candle on both ends, and then they broke up after 10 years.
Hey, if you're done, you're done.
Mm-hmm. And they all went on to have very successful solo careers for the most part.
Yes, I mean, I'd say they all had successful solo careers.
Some more than others.
I mean, sure, Ringo's solo stuff isn't as good as maybe others, but...
Because McCartney went on to do the Wings?
Yeah. And of course, all his solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sgt. Pepper's. Released 1967. We'll just go with that. So, yes. It's their 8th studio album, so they were pretty deep into their run by then.
Yeah. They were old hats at it by this point.
Hey, 7 years. 8th album.
How old were they when they formed the Beatles? They were pretty young, weren't they?
I think they were like 20.
Jesus. Can you imagine forming the world's biggest band at 20?
I imagine that do something to your brain, your psyche.
No, Lennon was perfectly well adjusted. What are you talking about?
Ringo turned out all right.
Yeah, because they completely shit on him for most of the time, didn't they?
He was just having a good old time.
Yeah.
Peace and love. All right, we'll just jump into the first track on this album, which is track number 1, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band.
The titular track.
The titular track is the first track.
Mm-hmm.
And this album's kind of considered like one of the initial like proto concept albums, so to speak.
You can really
and it definitely comes through in this first track where it's like literally introducing them as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. Like there's like the sound of audience noises, like an orchestra warming up before kind of crunching into the actual like 2-minute song of like this kind of introducing of them literally introducing themselves as the band.
Yeah. I got a rant already, Cooper.
Okay, if you're ranting about the stereo, I have a counter rant.
Okay, yes, I am. So I love the live style. Like you said, this is the first kind of concept album, which they do so well. But holy shit, the split audio is so bad. Everything is in one ear or the other. Like I get that headphones weren't really a thing, and granted, this is the remastered 2009 version, so this might be somebody screwing them over in 2009. But it is really bad. Like this is some really shitty mixing.
It's very obvious. I'm not going to say bad.
No, Cooper, all the instruments are in a single ear. What's on the other side?
The other instruments.
No.
Sometimes.
So yeah, Cooper, I will say some of the songs do it well, but this one in particular, it is really, really bad mixing.
It's very obvious. I will say this album was originally released in mono. That's what it was originally mastered for.
And that it would sound much better in.
So you can't really blame the Beatles for that.
Okay, that's fair then. Like I said, somebody probably screwed them over in the remaster, which happens quite a lot, it seems.
Never listen to the Beatles with only one earbud is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. You only listen to a third of the song. Yes, it's very obvious in this first song, but it kind of adds to like the live performance aspect of it.
Does it?
Yeah. It's kind of like if you're really there, it's not going to be perfectly balanced in each ear, which I'm sure the effects is achieved better on like stereo system as opposed to headphones.
Well, yeah, if you're listening to a stereo system, it's going to mix in the air before it even gets to your ears.
So, but it's the intro song. I think it sets the stage pretty well.
It does, yeah. Very drastic style shift into track number 2.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see more than just one drastic style shift on this album.
Whiplash by the end of this album.
It may be a concept album, but it's not like a tonally consistent album, no, or I guess even genrely consistent. Because some of these songs have a very loose definition of rock.
Some of them stick to the circus performance concept, and then most of them don't.
So, for instance, this song, "With a Little Help from My Friends," track 2, goes into a more relaxed kind of guitar jaunt angle, where it's like more of a almost, I'm not going to say like classic Beatles throwback, but it's got more of that energy.
Mm. I agree. It's just the classic sum of some guys being dudes.
Just guys being dudes singing about friendship.
Yeah, it's a little bit repetitive. I'll give them that, but that was kind of the way things were 60 years ago. Although I do have something else about that later.
I mean, I think the Beatles are better than most in terms of making like a strong hook, and even if they repeat it a couple times, the songs on average. I mean, it's a 40-minute album, but there's 13 songs, right? So the average song length is like what, 3.5 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, this song's 2.5 minutes, so it's fine. It's not that bad.
Yeah, and this is also, and I'll be pointing this out for each song. This is the one lead vocal led by Ringo Starr song.
Really?
Yes,
on
the album.
I really like the vocal styling on this one. Because it's different from the rest.
Yeah, it's very I mean, Ringo's certainly the least technical singer on the band, but he always has this kind of like not amateurish, but kind of looser feel to him, right? Octopus's Garden, Yellow Submarine. Like, it's not so much the technical as much as him just having fun. And all those songs are kind of just silly songs about friendship or living in a submarine. So that energy kind of carries through his vocals.
And I mean, if you were to say the Beatles' most famous song, I bet a lot of people would say Yellow Submarine. So clearly it's not a detractor. No.
He's made some great tunes. Just thematically, they're not usually super deep. But I think that works well for Ringo's writing style. Wingo
Starr.
Wingo Starr.
But for sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you can go.
I was just going to say, for how hyped the intro is to the album, this song ends very low-key.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty satisfying. But yeah, it's like a very definitive ending in terms of just, a little bit of fade out with the drums and then just gone. Which I think it works considering the next track has a pretty low-key opener.
Well, it has a low-key opener, that's for sure.
Which is... if you want to get into it, Sam.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out. I completely forgot how to operate OBS there for a second. I was trying to. It's like, what was I doing? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, track number 3. Which, if I'm correct, I mean, it's the most listened to song on this album on Spotify.
I believe it.
Which, it's interesting because there's no other song on this album that's quite like this one. Where it's a John Lydon written song.
Of course he did.
And lead vocals. Which is pretty evident from this. I think the word trippy is a apt word.
I would say psychedelic.
Psychedelic is also very apt. And extremely well produced as well.
Aside from the mixing.
I mean, I like the mixing. I'm not going to lie.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
This was the second worst mixed song on the album for the remaster. It's going to be the first thing, if I ever meet McCartney or Ringo, it's going to be the first thing I bring up. Who did you let mix this album? Because it is dog shit.
Who are you? Get out of here. Oh, come on. Let him play the drums. No, Ringo. Now, I think it adds to the atmosphere where it kind of, goes between the ears. I know you're not a big fan of it. I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. It's completely subjective. But it wasn't a distraction for me.
I would say.
Though, I really...
bad, but...
Going away from the mixing, I really do... John's vocals on this are not like squeaky, but like very dreamy and almost like kind of surreal.
Yeah.
Which, paired with the very surreal lyrics, this definitely isn't a song about LSD. Wink, wink.
Yeah, definitely not. Plasticine porters and marshmallow skies, absolutely not.
Yeah. No, but it's got a strong bass line, and those organs pair well. It's almost like floating downstream, just looking at the sky.
Mm-hmm. And then you get those speed up sections that that kind of just happen.
Yeah, and then the chorus is a little more traditional rock and roll, which kind of adds the energy to the song breaks. But yeah, I mean, it's for 1967 especially, right? They're making a mainstream psychedelic rock song, right? And this is about they managed it. This is about as mainstream as you can get in terms of a song, even though it's kind of a weird song.
I mean, I listened to this one so much when I was a kid. I was saying while you weren't here that my dad had I think almost all of the Beatles albums.
Same here.
And I think we had the best of on quite a bit. So this one played quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to tear away my childhood experiences with the Beatles since it's ingrained to my psyche.
Yeah.
To like this band.
Yeah.
Because if you're a kid born in the 90s, your dad had to own at least 3 Beatles albums and 2 best ofs. That was the law.
Yeah, I seem to recall that my dad got almost every album from one of his brothers who was a big fan. And so we just had we had one of those little standing cabinets that was just full of CDs. It was 3 foot tall and half a foot wide, and it was just filled to the brim with CDs. And most of them were Beatles.
Beatles. Get the Eagles best of, and I don't know, some Steely Dan.
Yep, you're hitting every nail on the head.
Get your dad rock.
Yep. I wonder if there's a reason I like classic rock so much. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Jumping on to the next one, if you're ready, Coop.
Yeah, track number 4, Getting Better. Which is kind of back to the kind of more traditional pop rock sound. McCartney-led song, written mainly by him and has his vocals double-tracked on it.
It has some interesting falsettos there.
In the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's George and John in the back in falsetto.
It's pretty bad.
Oh. I'm not going to say bad. I think it adds to the character of it.
Cooper. You're allowed, we have to steel ourselves and talk badly about the Beatles. It's 60 years ago. They'll be okay with it.
What if Paul listens and I hurt his feelings? He's an old man. He can't take it.
Cooper, until we got that follower before we started, I wasn't sure anyone was listening today.
Maybe that follower is Paul. This is my first episode. I can't wait to listen. Ow!
I think he's got better things to do than listen to some two fucking white guys talk about his albums on the internet.
Okay. I'll say not a great fan of the hand clapping.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I was too distracted by the falsettos.
I think the falsetto is fine. I think it has some character to this song. Especially when they do kind of on the chorus, the kind of stacked falsetto, with the ascending line.
It really adds to the lyric about him beating his wife, but it's okay because he's trying to stop.
Yeah. This may not have been a too subtle dig at John.
Yeah. Gotta be honest, I kind of zoned out for this one, and that one pulled me right back in. I was like, what the fuck did they just say?
Yeah, there's sometimes Beatles have some sus lyrics.
Yeah.
They're never boring, I'll give them that.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, no, this one's definitely a lighter song. Besides the wife beating comment, it's a very sunny, kind of fun song.
Yeah, I just felt like it rang a little hollow compared, coming off of Lucy with the Sky with Diamonds.
Oh yeah, production wise, it doesn't
it's
hold a
be
candle
hard
to Lucy.
Follow that up.
It's a big tonal shift as well.
Jump into track number 5 if you're ready.
Yes, track number 5.
Oh.
Now, one of the reasons the Beatles broke up, Sam, in case you're unaware, is John and Paul's rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things John hated the most was what he dubbed as Paul's granny songs. Which this isn't really one of them. I just want to set the scene for later songs of the
Okay.
Where Paul had and still does has an affinity for throwbacks, right? The 50s and especially even before then, right, where there's a lot more of an intentional old timey feel to them. And I think that starts to inch in a little bit here with Fixing a Hole. But it definitely gets in more further into the album, where this one has like a really strong bass line and this kind of harpsichord backing, which pairs well with this delightful vocal harmonies that Paul's singing over it.
I couldn't pick up any instruments because it was all in literally just the left ear.
Well, did you listen with your left ear?
I listened, but I have to pick it apart in the middle, Cooper. I'm trying to reach over to the left here and grab things, but if it's in the middle, that's right near my hands.
I don't think that's how hearing works.
That's how my hearing works.
You should see a doctor.
This one was seriously loaded, and the one comment I made on this, which is the perfect location to make this comment, was either when they have a song, it's either a story song where no word is repeated whatsoever, or a song where the two vocal tracks are established in the first 30 seconds and looped. Which the 30-second thing applies to this one, and the story song applies to the next one.
I mean, it's a bit of a loop, but it's got a nice vocal harmony. It's a 2.5 minute song.
Oh yeah. I'm not ripping on it being too repetitive or anything. That was the style. It was just I didn't coming back to it after, I was saying when you were gone. I probably haven't listened to the Beatles since before college. It's been a long time.
Oh, hey.
Because I found someone better, Cooper.
Okay. I'm sure Jeff Lynne had no inspiration with the Beatles at all.
Oh yeah, I mentioned, I was listening to this album again, I picked up on quite a few spots where I was this is just, what is it? Nellie Takes Her Bow is just Eleanor Rigby. It uses the same instrumental track even, I'm pretty sure. But it was just I remember it being a lot more complex when I was a kid. Granted, I never listened to Fixing a Hole when I was a kid. It was the best of album, so...
Fixing a Hole I still think is a very good song. It's got a very forlorn and dreamy, almost daydreamy vibe to it. He's literally talking about fixing a hole in an ocean, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm just saying maybe my nostalgia glasses are tinted with those, each lens is one of the best of discs. So I'm looking at it through that.
Hey, not every song is Lucy in the Sky with the Diamond. Although we can move on to the next song, Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Track number 6, She's Leaving Home.
Now, is this what you would call the Granny song?
This is where I'm saying it starts to approach Granny. Obviously, it's a Paul song written with John, with Paul as the lead vocals. But this one's a lot more. It's kind of in that line of the Eleanor Rigby, right? A kind of surprisingly melancholic song about a very forlorn subject matter. Eleanor Rigby is about dying alone and being lonely. This one's about the perspective of a parents whose daughters run away, how that emotionally destroys them.
Well, I got the feeling by the end of this, I couldn't figure out if it was the parents are having a hard time accepting she's growing up and moving, or she's actually run away.
I think the backstory is that she ran away.
Because because the way they worded it sounded like she said she's leaving tomorrow morning, kind of thing.
Yes, I guess it's a little vague. I think the original story wasn't based on a girl running away from home.
Okay.
That Paul ran a newspaper, but it is ambiguous enough to kind of leave it like that. Either way, it's it's not a your typical subject.
The wife does call her husband daddy.
Okay, yeah, this is the 60s. They didn't know. Also, I believe at some point Paul says that her leaving home was very not poggers. That was surprising. Can't believe that's where that started.
The mom said she found a suitcase in the daughter's room and thought that was pretty sus. Hello,
If you listen very
fellow
closely
Zoomers.
Hey, we're basically Zoomers.
I think we're definitely more on the millennial edge of that knife.
Zoomers love yellow.
Yeah, Zoomers love electrical. Zoomers love pipe organ music.
I mean, I do like the instrumentation on this song. Obviously, it's a little more sparse to let it breathe, but there's like this very beautiful string backing and some harp as well. And like I said, it really leads into that kind of sadness that the story is telling on this song.
Yeah, I really love how clear the vocal line in this one is, unlike how I just tried to talk. I don't know if that's a result of the remaster or what, but it feels like quite a few of the other songs kind of have this weird vocal filter over the lines, and this one is crisp and right there.
Huh, weird vocal filters. Funny you should mention that, Sam.
Yeah, jumping to and no, wear a neck brace because we're getting weird.
Talking about whiplash. This is actually a John Lennon song, which you can tell because he's done all the weirdo songs in this album so far.
You can tell it's batshit crazy.
Which is, this is, to be fair, this is the one that leans the most into the kind of old timey 4-man band show format, where it's literally almost like a carnival barker, hyping up the acts. I mean, on Wikipedia, the genre for this music is clearly psychedelia/circus.
I feel like they set up the circus theme and then forgot about it to like the last 4 or 5 songs of the album.
I mean, I see it almost more of like a variety show type format, right? Where each song kind of offers a little taste of something else. This one, of course, being the circus. So it's definitely a wild ride in terms of like, they captured it pretty well, honestly. I mean, the instrumentation, it's got a lot of like accordion and like very plucky and almost like dark instrumental. It's hard to say, but this like song's like kind of like weirdly sinister.
I didn't get that feeling at all. I think I was just once it switched to the waltz at 1 minute, that kind of just sucked me in. I was just enthralled in that part of it. Because they switched from the 4/4 to the 3/4, which I fucking love when songs do. Do it again.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm saying this is kind of a weird thing, it's not bad. As good as circus music can get. Plus, there's obviously a very tongue-in-cheek vibe of it. Earlier talking, they're hyping up Mr. Kite. They're talking about Henry the Horse and like trapeze artists. Fun fact: the song's actually was banned on the BBC.
Really? What's it advertising? 'Cause it's an advertising thing, isn't it?
No, it's because Henry the Horse. They thought it was slang for heroin.
What?
The Beatles stand by saying it wasn't. I guess the BBC thought they did. For some reason, they thought that the Beatles were pro-drugs. I'm not sure where they got that from.
I don't know where they got that from. Anyway, the next song. No. But yeah, there's so many like weird instruments in this one to unpack, especially when it gets to the waltz section. And sadly, it ends, pretty quickly. It comes back to kind of a lesser extent around the 2-minute mark, but it doesn't really have the time signature change in there, which I was sad about.
Yeah, it's an interesting use of like organs and glockenspiels.
Yeah, a lot of fun craziness.
And whatever those old timey like gag pianos were.
Yeah, the honky tonk piano.
Yeah, where they got like a lever that you can pull and like they honk a. They didn't do that in the song, but I feel like they were playing on one.
I think you should leave.
Yeah, they're tossing just plates on the ground. No, but yeah, it's very novel song, but I think it works. Mm-hmm. And then you can tell the Beatles were really just doing their own thing because most songs in the '60s, right? You get to the end of side 1, which that's what the benefit for Mr. Kite was. Uh-huh. And then, first song on side 2, you got to get something that grabs them. So what better song to grab them than with a 5-minute song with almost exclusively with Indian-inspired classic like reggae rock music or raga rock music.
Cooper, are you telling me that the average person doesn't hear quarter tones and immediately get a stiffy?
Well, that average person would be George Harrison, because this is actually his one song of the album as well.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at the wiki for this one.
I mean, with most Beatles songs, obviously, they're kind of dominated by McCartney and Lennon, with George and Ringo kind of being pushed to the side. But Harrison got his one, and he went all in with the Indian soundscape on this one.
Oh man, and it is fantastic. You know how much I love quarter tones.
You really like quarter tones.
I really like quarter tones, and there's sitar too. I think I couldn't even tell because there's just so many weird instruments in there that I'm like, I don't know what any of these are. I wish I knew, but I don't.
Yeah, it's a sitar. I was looking at sitar, tambura, darubi. That kind of like very thummy sounding drum is a tabla.
Okay.
So it's just a very Indian instrument heavy song.
They got a little bit of traditional strings in there as well, but
yeah, there's some classical strings kind of ground everything, but he really goes all in with the semitones on this one.
And it's mostly instrumental for most of the 5 minutes. Oh my god, I was in heaven, Cooper. It's such a good song.
No, it's honestly, part of the impressiveness of this album is the fact that they try their hats at like a lot of different genres, and like 90% of the time it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did a successful rock carnival song, right after a forlorn, like, kind of ballad about familial, like, being torn apart. And now it's like subcontinent Indian, very melodical and, instrumental song led by George.
Yeah. I would highly recommend looking at the wikis for some of these if you are into that kind of thing, because the wiki for this song is longer than most of the band pages of bands we've covered.
Yes. I mean, that applies to a lot of the Beatles songs.
Yeah. There's just a picture of George Harrison. Did he become Hindu for this? Is that a thing you could do? Is that a religion?
I'm not sure if he actually like converted officially, but he had a teacher that he studied under. He was like in India a lot, and he studied under him. He obviously adopted a lot of the spiritualism from his Indian teacher, and that's pretty apparent in a lot of the songs he writes during this era.
But man, this came out of left field for me. I definitely never listened to this one when I was a kid, and I was like, yes, longest song in the album, instrumental, semitones, sitar. It's checking all the boxes. Just get some pipe organ in there, and we'll be good.
Yeah, no, it makes good use of it. I mean, it's the second longest song in the album. And like by wide, it's like either there's two like 5.5 minute songs in this album, the rest are like 2.5 minutes. But I think it makes good use of it.
Oh yeah.
In terms of just really letting the instrumental breathe. Plus, it was George's one song, so might as well give him a long one.
Yeah, any other song that was 5 minutes wouldn't do as well, I don't think. Now for some more Whiplash, if you're ready, Cooper.
Yeah, so I was talking about Paul's Granny songs, right? So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this, where it's got a very music hall feel, right? If you've ever listened to like Queen's Night of the Opera, a couple of their songs on that, where it's like very jaunty, I think is the best word to go by it. Where it's got like these it's backed by like 4 clarinets,
and a bassoon, I think.
Bass clarinet.
Ah, shit. Not as good with my woodwinds.
But yeah, the majority of the song is those clarinets, and then of course Paul's a bass player, so a very strong bass line.
Mm-hmm. But coming off of the last song about universal truths to this plonky bass line, it sounds so fucking stupid.
it's a very kind of cutesy song about when I'm 64, will you take care of me? Will you still love me even though I'm old?
Yeah.
Very which is why I'm saying it's kind of a throwback to in terms of like both subject matter and instrumentation. It's a lot more kind of old timey. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of a sucker for Paul's Granny songs.
Yeah,
I can understand why John didn't like him, but I kind of dig the aesthetic of him.
Well, coming into this now, I'm like, how much of this is tinted by my nostalgia? Because this was a big one my parents listened to when I was a kid. So I'm like, do I like it because I like it, or do I like it because it was beaten into me over the course of 10 years? Although I will say I never picked up that awful Scottish accent around a minute 45 that he tries to do. What,
the Beatles aren't Scottish?
No.
Where's Liverpool at?
Well, you remember
That's not-
you drive 20 minutes and the accent changes there.
That's true. No, but yeah, I mean, it's a pretty instrumental wise. It's a fairly sparse song. I mean, it's mostly clarinet and bass led.
I mean, it sounds great though. I love clarinet.
But yeah, it's great. It's great instrumentation, and I think it's good. Also, I think it's funny. Paul is now currently 79, so hopefully he got his answer for when he's 64, because that was 15 years ago.
Yeah, is he married?
I mean, for the longest time, he was married to Linda McCartney, right? Before she passed away in, I believe, the late 90s. But he remarried after that.
Oh, he is married. Okay. Got his answer then.
So, yeah.
Jump to track number 10, if you're ready.
Yes. Track number 10, Lovely Rita.
Another song with questionable lyrics.
Is it actually wasn't listening too close to these lyrics? I know she's a meter maid.
Yeah. He went out to dinner with her. He asked her to dinner, and then she paid for it. Kind of dick move.
That's maybe she was, if she insisted.
True, but I mean, if you're the one to ask, I feel like you should,
I mean, yeah, it's definitely against protocol, but
And then there was also just another small line about how he almost got laid next to his sisters.
I didn't catch that one.
It was maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but it was near the end. If you're looking for it, I was like, huh, what did he?
I'm guessing not literal sisters.
It was an odd lyric, and after the beating wife thing earlier, I'm not gonna.
I'm sure that's more of a metaphorical sister.
Metaphorical beating of the wife. No,
sister.
Lovely piano solo though.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is another Paul song. You can always tell when it has like a piano break or some sort of kind of old-timey instrumentation. But yeah, great piano break at like the 1:15 mark.
It lasts like 10 seconds though, which sucks.
Yes, it's way too short. But I will say, I like to look at the instrumentation for songs when I'm listening to them. And of course, this one has your percussion, lead vocals, bass guitar, rhythm guitar, drums, all the things you find on a Beatles song. Now, this one also had the comb, and something called tissue paper. I'm not sure what that is.
Tissue paper.
Like, I know a tissue paper. I just don't know how you play that as an instrument.
You blow across.
Comb, I get. You can pluck. You blow across, like whistling.
No, it's tissue paper like you put with presents, like in a bag.
Yeah.
You just have that loose and you blow it and it makes a crinkly sound. That's what I assume they're doing. I don't know. I'm just making.
I tried to find tissue paper in the song, but I couldn't. But
I didn't hear comb, to be fair.
Maybe they were combing their hair at the same time.
Yeah,
they had to attribute it. No, it's also got this pretty interesting kind of vocal breakdown at the end. It's like, Paul almost like doing like dog pants. Like that.
Are you sure you're not running this over with a later song?
No, this is definitely Lovely Rita.
Okay. I don't remember that.
It only lasts for like a couple seconds.
Maybe it was maybe my mind was moving on to the next track already.
Track number 10. Good morning, good morning.
This one, in my opinion, this is like dripping with Beatles at the start.
Well, it's got the rooster call with and obviously they're waking up, get it? And then the kind of the all Beatles singing at the sing the title of the song at the same time.
It's something about the guitar line as well that really is just like, this is the Beatles. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
I think it's that crunchy, it's just done, very driving, and then obviously very clear drumming in the background with Ringo as well. It's also got a pretty sick guitar solo, like the 120 mark.
Well, you're skipping right over that bass sax that they got there.
Oh yeah, they also have the bass sax. Don't want to ignore that.
Which sounds phenomenal, even if it is a little crispy. Peeking the mic a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's a little crunchy at times.
Yeah. It's for this one, the instrumentals were just insane. And then the vocals just kind of didn't have the energy that everything else was bringing, you know?
Yeah, they were oddly lower key. It was John's lead vocal. Which maybe that's part of the reason why it seems like so Beatles throwback, where it's very standard Beatles vocals.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing any funny vocalization here.
I would have liked just a bit more oomph behind it, you know? Because it kind of you get this whole, you know, power behind it. And maybe I'm just inserting a little bit of Mr. Blue Sky in there with the good morning part right at the beginning. But you want a bit more oomph to the lyrics, and they just kind of are there. And
this is definitely one of the
instrumentals are powerful beneath it.
Yeah, this definitely goes into category A in terms of, you know, very repeating vocals. They're not telling a story here. Though there is like a weird like outro where it's like
yeah, well,
a bunch of animal sounds.
Remember, this was supposed to be a circus album. They forgot, so they had to really quickly get all the animal concept sounds in one song.
Like, okay, so that's why the bear is in there.
They forgot to put them everywhere else in the album, so they had to pack them into one.
Yeah, because I was thinking more of like, you know, good morning. You know, you're waking up, you hear barking or a cat like screeching.
Yeah.
But then like you hear like a horse whinnying, like a bear,
a lion.
like I don't know if they got in Liverpool, but I don't think they got bears.
At least not anymore. Jump into track number 12 if you're ready, Coop.
Track number 12, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, Reprise. Which is the shortest song in the album, just over a minute. But you know,
it's the better version. I'll say it.
It is the better version because it's a lot more rockin'. It's got all the Beatles vocalizing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just kind of it's like the kind of juiced up version of the first one.
It's got that driving beat, that very distinct guitar with the, you know, the strum weird chord. Got the Beatle harmony. Oh, it's short, but it's the much better version of the song.
I will say I missed the French horn parts from the first one.
Yeah. French horn's amazing. Love it.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of concept albums, this isn't like anything mind-blowing in 2021. But in the 60s, you know, it was kind of novel to, you know, like, oh, they opened and closed their album on like this concept. It's like a story or something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, as we've seen, thematically, or I guess genre-wise, the album's not very cohesive.
No, not at all.
but it put it like the idea of like this kind of variety show. I think it works a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a great end to the album. Actually, wait, hold on. We have another song.
I hope this isn't one of their most famous songs of all time. The most beloved. Track number 13.
Is this one of their most beloved songs?
A Day in Life. It is.
Are you serious?
It is, and for good reason.
Is it the minute-long outro where the last 30 seconds are just silence?
You don't say anything bad about that. We'll get to it. Okay, let's take this a step at a time.
Is it the fact that this is just what they used to make Mr. Blue Sky?
What do you mean used to make Mr. Blue Sky?
No.
This came before Mr. Blue Sky.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you jump to 2:15, it sounds exactly like Mr. Blue Sky. It even has the panting. Like right from the start. It's the start of Mr. Blue Sky. The ELO just reached in and went, yoink, this is mine now.
Wait, is Jeff Lynne a hack?
Eleanor, I told you already, Nelly Take a Bow just uses the instrumental track from Eleanor Rigby.
I always thought it was kind of weird how ELO's song, Lovely Pita, sounded exactly like Lovely Rita.
I mean, A Day in the Life, Horace Wimp, it's the same thing, Cooper.
In a cosmic sort of way, sure.
Sorry, get back to your point.
I will gush on this song because I really like this song as a closer and as a song. It's the longest song of the album, 5.5 minutes, but it's kind of this interesting mishmash. There's the word. Where it's like half of it's a John song, half of it's a Paul song. It's very clear where which half goes. Mm-hmm. Where it's like it starts with John, middle part's Paul, last part's John. But it adds to a very dreamy and like surreal experience because so the first section is, you know, John's section where he's like singing this very, you know, kind of not just passionate but almost like disconnected vocal styling.
I mean, he's singing about a guy who committed suicide at a stoplight.
He's singing about a guy who committed suicide. Like, he's literally talking about reading the news going, oh boy, about a guy who committed suicide.
And then decides to walk off stage left.
There's like a certain like ironic disattachment in the vocals. Over this very pretty, a little simplistic, but very pretty, like, guitar, piano backing. And I do like that little moment where like Ringo's drums bust in. Like, they're not like mind-shattering drops. They have just, a little kick into it. And then of course you get to like the 1 minute mark, and that's when like the song like starts to like disintegrate into like this like series of like strings, like that are like getting more excited and like energetic and like noised up.
A full orchestra tuning itself.
Yeah. And you're like, where's this song going? And then it like at the 2 minute mark or 2:15 mark,
it breaks into Mr. Blue Sky.
It busts into like, Mr. Blue Sky, Paul's part, which is this this very jaunty, it starts with like a alarm ringing, Paul's, singing cheerily about, combing his head, being late to work, trying to get to the bus.
Good morning.
Sun
is shining in the sky.
Which I always took as like there's kind of like this disconnect between like, Paul's sections represent, kind of more mundane reality, and John's is almost like this more dreamscape of like, being disconnected from everything, because Paul's is about him going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with him waking up, and then it ends with him falling asleep or taking a nap, and then it goes back into John's section.
Which one of them did more drugs, by the way?
I mean, John, probably.
Whose sections were the dreamscape LSD one?
John's.
Hold on. I think I'm seeing a connection here.
And you think, and despite the fact that there are clearly two, or I guess three distinct sections, they kind of pair back together quite nicely, because whenever Paul's quote unquote falling asleep, he kind of goes in this kind of vocal break of him like going, as it gets like kind of a little more distorted, dreamy, and then just effortlessly just goes back into John's section with that piano and a guitar backing. I think it works very well.
I'll give you all that. I will not give you the ending. That ending is bullshit.
That ending is world famous for a reason, Sam.
It's bullshit. What's the fucking 30 seconds of repeating a single line from a TV?
Okay. That's actually... Well, first I'll talk about the piano. So the song ends on this piano and just suspended to hell. Like, it's like literally like a minute long outro. Or just this one piano chord. Well, the piano chord itself is like a minute.
Yeah.
Where like this big orchestral fade up, build up, and then this like huge piano chord that they literally just let play out. I mean, maybe I'd be meaner about it if this was like anything other than the last song of the album. But in terms of like an actual like just letting an album literally just like kind of disintegrate into the horizon, I think it works great.
That's fair. I'll give you the fade, but not the TV thing.
Okay. The TV thing is actually kind of a weird thing. So when they originally released this album, right, it was on vinyl, right? Everything was on vinyl. They didn't have CDs. So the song would have ended at like the 5 minute mark.
As it rightly should have here.
Yes. The Beatles are cheeky though. And basically, back in the day, not all record players had the automatic, when it gets to the album, it picks itself up and returns itself. Some of them didn't. If you had one of them that didn't do that, and it reached the end of the album,
it would just
there's like that little extra skip where it's like this 5 second vocal snippet, just because they thought it was funny. So technically, that's not part of the song. Technically, it's not even. It's like a little Easter egg. I don't know why they decided to include it on the Spotify version.
Yeah, it's not good. I understand it for like, oh hey, like a cheeky little thing, but as the definitive version that's on the main form of music listening these days, it's not very good. I
mean, I don't put that. I don't blame the Beatles on that one.
No,
they're doing a cheeky, very physical media type of thing.
Quite a few of the issues on this album are not. Well, I mean, they could be to blame. I don't know who did the mixing in 2009, but it's not the time this album was made issues. It was further down the line. People, screwing with things. People just love touching art after it's been done. George Lucas created a masterwork. What did he do? He'd go back in and put his little grubby CGI fingers everywhere. and now the non CGI versions sell for millions. That's not true. I bought the box set for $20, but you get what I'm saying.
No, I get what you mean. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation where technically it was on the album, but like not really because it's kind of hidden. Mm-hmm. So I can understand where like if they didn't do it, then they'd be like, well, it's not the real Beatles unless you have the weird vocal snippet at the end. Because Beatles fans can be kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I know that.
So I'm not saying it's good. It's certainly kind of an odd way to leave an album, especially since it kind of counteracts everything that the piano suspend does. But also, it wasn't really...
That was my biggest complaint about the ending, was the fact that there was that beautiful fade out, which I can excuse a huge fade out as the last song of the album. That's the way to do it. That's what the fade's there for. But then coming back after that, it just kills everything you did.
The funny thing is, this isn't even the only time this has happened to the... Because with Abbey Road, right, the whole back half of the album, which we should review that sometime. The whole back half of the album is basically like a one long song. Like it's different songs, but they all meld together.
Okay.
So the final song's like this big, triumphant thing. Technically it's the last thing that like the Beatles recorded. So it's like they're this is the end of the Beatles, right? Mm-hmm. Ends on this high note. And then of course the final, they had the same thing at the end where it's like this like little 30-second snippet of them God Save the Queen. and guess what ends up on the Spotify version?
The God Save the Queen version. God
yes. Or you're like, okay, this kind of ruins the mood. It's like putting a blooper in like the credits of Schindler's. Sure, you can do it.
Sure, the emotional impact of him visiting the guy's grave. But then there's the scene where the little girl in red runs through the mud and trips and falls on her face, and everybody...
And Liam Neeson laughs.
Yeah. Very, very different vibe that you should not be going for.
That's like if that was in the DVD, but they decided to include that in the Blu-ray for some reason.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of the album right there.
It is.
We managed to talk for quite a long time about it, even though it's a 30-minute album. Although I think a lot of that was, when I was a young boy and I listened to the Beatles.
Kids these days don't know about the Beatles. All they listen to is their young man bands like ELO and the Traveling.
They've got all this fucking dance music. I don't know what it is, but it makes me want to move, and I don't like moving. But yeah, Cooper, we'll do. I don't think we're gonna line up whatsoever on this album. So let's just do least favorite first, I guess.
Least favorite, it's a bit of a toughie. I'd probably have to say, Good Morning.
Really?
Yeah, something about it just didn't really click with me. I mean, the vocalization, I think, repetitive. Like you said, I mean, some of the instrumentation's kind of interesting with that brass. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a little on the crunchy side for my taste as well. It kind of falls within like the it's got big on the White Album they have the Happy Birthday song, right? It veers too much into novelty for my tastes. Not that this album doesn't have some weird songs on it.
Yeah.
But this one felt a little phony. So in that case I didn't quite like it.
Good Morning was the other one that felt like the second most ELO, like they pulled from kind of thing as well for me. So I actually kind of liked it.
Oh, what about you?
My least favorite would definitely be Getting Better. That falsetto is just so bad. No,
Come
Cooper.
on.
That's much better than the way they were singing.
Yeah, it was getting better.
All right. I didn't realize you were expecting. Heckin' dad joke. But the whole wife beating thing too is like, okay.
Okay.
Now, what about your favorite song, Cooper? And I want you to guess what you think my favorite song is, because I bet you're going to get it right.
I mean, from the way you're gushing with that, I had to say probably Within You, Without You.
Yeah, you do yours first, though.
I mean, mine is A Day in the Life. It's such a good album closer. I just love every section of the song. It's dichotomous, but it really works well together. I'm not including the little vocal snippet at the end. That's a blooper. I don't include that in the song. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just what an album ender. They're ending with their strongest, and I think it's just a very It's a powerful way to end an album. Just it leaves it's like a clean palette, you know.
Yeah.
I just feel satisfied at the end of listening to A Day in the Life.
I got a counterpoint here for you here.
Okay.
I enjoy the song as well. Granted, since this is where Mr. Blue Sky was basically lifted from, almost, or at least this song heavily inspired it. I agree, it's a great album closer, just not for this album. Listen. You can't make a fucking circus album and then slap this on the end of it and call it the closer. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band Reprise is the end of the album, right? That's the bookend. And then this is the, I don't have enough room on the bookshelf, but I'm going to put this here too song.
It's it.
I get that there's no style throughout the album, but they have little threads, that connect. There's every once in a while they bring the circus band thing back, and then they end with it, and then they're just like, oh yeah, here's another song. I agree, it's a great album ender, just not this album.
Okay, I concede that point.
But like you said, my favorite, my favorite is Within You Without You. I don't think I have to say any more than I already said. I just really like quarter tones. And to hear, I didn't know that there was a Beatles song made with quarter tones, so I was excited.
Yeah, a lot of George's quarter tone stuff usually doesn't get onto the best ofs.
No, but
which is a shame,
and it was an instrumental, which I always love instrumentals, or mostly instrumental. Instrumental with quarter tones, just ticks the boxes.
I mean, because I always have to put into perspective the fact that, this was in 1967, right? Yeah. Obviously we have Spotify, so we can listen to whatever, Indian or Asian music that we want to. So it's not like we're super unused to it. But like in the 60s, this wasn't on the radio. This wasn't anywhere. Mm-hmm. In fact, I have a vinyl that I picked up in a thrift shop, which is basically like this day show where the Beatles were guests on. They sang some songs. So it's like a live performance. Mm-hmm. And the interviewer's asking them about he's asking them what yoga is, because no one knew what yoga was back in the 60s. That's how disconnected Indian culture was from American culture. Or this thing that's almost ubiquitous, with exercise, stretching. They didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
you made a yoga hair joke.
You think of yoga today, and it's associated with middle-aged white women.
Yeah, well, they were young white women back then.
yeah. But it's just, I think we take it's going very deep. I think we take for granted the amount of information exchange that happens today.
Yeah.
The fact that if I really wanted to, I could just get online right now and listen to as much quarter tone music as my heart could take. But that wasn't something that you could do, even 30 years ago.
Thank you, internet streaming.
Enough, making love to the internet. Let's do the ratings. I think I did it last time. You want to do it this time?
Yeah, I'll do it this time. So, here at the audio shop, me and Sam collectively have about, I think, 18,000 years of collective car experience between the two of us. Yep. We're actually immortals. You're probably thinking, wait, the car wasn't invented until 1908. That's what we thought. It turns out we've been stuck in a time loop. So just collectively, we're just living forever. It's kind of like a mixture between 50 First Dates and Groundhog's Day, except we're making a podcast.
And there's that one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where it always ends with them dying, but they carry their memories over between, or eventually they do.
Except our dying is listening to Imagine Dragons' Origin.
Oh, God. But, Cooper, we've already done that. Wouldn't that be resetting it?
Oh, no.
Did we break the loop?
Oh, Lord. This might be it. Well, we're already here. Might as well keep going.
Yep.
So on our rating system, we have, at the tip top, cream of the crop, we got our show, right? This is the best of the best. This is a must-listen, classic album. And then, you go down like new, fixer-upper, use rental, all the way at the bottom to Scrapyard, which this is bottom of the barrel. Ew, gross, don't touch me. Listening to this makes me wish I was deaf. That kind of thing. Bad albums. and then we'll give it like a low or a high like new, or like a low high fixer upper, depending, if there's some wiggle room there. So Sam, what would you rank this album?
I think I would rank this album. I'm gonna say a low like new, probably. The music is great. The mixing is awful. So don't listen to this version. I'll say that. I'm giving this version a low like new.
The stereo version.
Yeah. If you're listening to it in mono, see, the issue is there's some songs that actually work really well with the way they structured the stereo. And then some songs which just do not try at all. They just shove everything in one ear and they're like, oh, great, put the vocal center and the bass line in the left. There we go. Definitely obviously listen to this album, but I just think with ranking it against everything else, maybe a high like new. Let's go with high like new, not low like new. It's very good, but I don't know. I wish there was a bit more continuity, a bit more stylistic continuity. Maybe I'm extremely spoiled by the fact, concept albums didn't exist before this, and now I'm judging it by 200 years of evolution. Yes, 1960 was 200 years ago.
Man, time flies.
Yeah, I mean, the time loop, it gets confusing. But yeah, definitely listen to it. It's just, I don't know. I think maybe I'd rate it higher, but I think I'm really questioning the nostalgia goggles right now, Trying to not look at it all through nostalgia goggles, I should say.
Okay, that's fair. I will lean into the nostalgia goggles because obviously I listened to this album all the time when I was a kid. I think, some of the aspects have aged. Obviously, the mixing isn't the best in terms of stereo. I don't mind it as much as you do, Sam. But even for somebody who isn't, is as worried about that, it's obvious on some of these albums than, obviously current day mixing. Though that's I think a slight charm to it. So I think I'll ultimately go with like a low showroom. Obviously this album's been, nothing we could say about this album hasn't already been said. This is,
what have we been doing for the last hour and 15 minutes then?
Oh, I thought you were okay with that. Every sentence we've said, I'm sure 1,000 other people have said, because this album's probably one of the most reviewed albums of all time, I'm sure.
Probably.
But I think that part of that's with good reason. Historically, it's incredibly significant in the Beatles discography and rock discographies overall. A couple aspects maybe haven't aged the best, but there's so many good bops on this album. It's got I think it's, the concept's a bit rough, but I think it plays with it in a fun way. And especially for, basically one of the first go-arounds. It's got an awesome closer, just great individual songs, even if they don't necessarily flow together. They all tackle so many different genres pretty well. Mm-hmm. I have to give it credit where credit's due. Honestly, I'm going to be honest, this isn't even my favorite Beatles album, but it's still such a great one.
I mean, it's got quite a few of their best songs on it.
Yeah, this is definitely when they got through that rough early phase where they're all doing kind of teeny bop music. This is, where they're full blown into their creative Zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Or Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist isn't a word.
No,
some of them are pretty good. Trust me, I've listened through all the early Beatles albums. For every one of those, there's like two that are like, oh, right.
Yeah.
This exists.
I mean, there's no better summation of it than that one Gus Johnson skit of, all right, what was that last one we did? That was called The Best Song Ever Made. What's next? The Worst Song Ever Made.
That's basically the White Album. Come on, everyone loves Wild Honey Pie. No, but yeah, so, I mean, it's a classic album. I think it's a must listen in almost every capacity.
Okay. I won't disagree with that. Like I said, I think my like new is so close to being a showroom. You probably want a restraining order.
No, that's an odd metaphor.
That's what I do.
So odd it could fit into getting better.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. We should probably move on before we.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So good. Listen to you've listened to this album. Talking to that hasn't listened to the podcast. You probably listened to this album.
Yeah.
But listen to it again. It's good.
Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't listened to that album, what are you doing? Why are you listening to this podcast and not that album?
Spend your time better.
Yeah, seriously, what are you doing with your life? You need to think about yourself if you've not listened to this Beatles album, but you're listening to us chuckleheads. All right, moving on to the spare tire, which is just whatever else we've been listening to this week. I'll go first. I'll be real quick. ELO, Traveling Wilburys, organ music, and podcasts. There you go. That's all I've been listening to.
You're a consistent man.
That's what they say. That's the one thing I am. Consistency is key.
And at this point, I feel like we have to do another ELO album soon.
I was just saying that you weren't here for this, but I kind of just went on a random ramble when you left because I wasn't sure where you had left off in the history because it took me a second to realize that you weren't just taking a dramatic pause. But I said we got to be careful because we're running out of stuff for Thanksgiving.
That's true.
Because we do that for a whole month, and there's not that many ELO albums if we're being honest.
So we'll hold off then.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil the fun for Thanksgiving. Yeah, for me, honestly, not too much. I've been listening to a lot of Michael Jackson's later stuff. Just because kind of his post 90s stuff because I never actually listened to it. And especially his after his death, they released a couple albums of his, with like music he never released. I've been listening to that, and there's some good ones in there. Dude, knew how to make a good song. Obviously, his albums weren't quite as popular after Thriller and Bad. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of pretty good licks, and like some of them go into kind of like an interesting incorporation of like 90s hip hop and almost like proto like noise. Like into some interesting genre areas. I think they're definitely worth a listen. I mean, if you listen to just the best of Michael Jackson, you really can't go wrong. But I think some of his later stuff that's kind of left on the cutting room floor of those albums are worth a listen as well.
Now, you gotta help me here. Has it? What's the cultural swing on Michael Jackson? Was he a child rapist, or has? Because I swear every time I see that, it's either he was or he wasn't.
Low-key, I honestly do not know. Because it's the exact same. It's like, either, if you go into like some forums, it's either vehement like defense of like, they literally cannot prove anything. And then like, I also see like, they literally proved everything. I'm like, I don't, which is it?
I think there was a documentary fairly recently that was like, yeah, he was pretty bad. Not the album, like touching kids bad.
No, yeah. Okay. Come on, good joke.
I had to clarify.
I remember it's like something Neverland. I think came out pretty recently.
I think.
But I mean, from what I saw, that was more of like, I guess like testimonies, and he was never convicted, but also that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't do it.
I mean, Cooper, fucking Bill Cosby got out of prison.
No, I was saying. Not necessarily, but it's weird. I've heard ways.
But then that
I tried to separate.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I try to separate that from his music for the most part. Since obviously we don't condone child endangerment at all in this podcast.
Thanks for the clarification.
Just want to make sure that our stance is clear on that.
But that brings you into a very interesting sphere of how hard is it to separate the artist from the music, or the artist from the art, even. I feel like for Michael Jackson, it's pretty easy. But for like, use an earlier example, Bill Cosby, you can't. You really can't.
I think comedy's harder because it's so much more personality based, right? It's hard to yuck it up with him about how hip hop's ruining music when you're like, he raped women.
Yeah. Or, all those Louis C.K. masturbation jokes.
After, those definitely, it's less haha, and we're like, oh, yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, yeah.
So I think definitely comedy is harder than, some music. I mean, John Lennon beat his wife and kid.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty sure he admitted to it, or at the very least, everyone knew about
John Lennon
it.
was a piece of shit. So,
and the guy made good music.
Yeah,
that's
I feel
everyone
like
draws their line somewhere.
It's much easier to separate.
I think, especially if the person's already passed away, it makes it easier to kind of add that. Like, obviously Michael Jackson's not getting anybody from his albums now. He's passed away. So is John Lennon. So I think that makes it easier to enjoy the music of people that maybe are less moral standards.
Yeah, maybe John Lennon's killer was a time traveler.
No, I'm pretty sure he was a crazy guy.
Like I said, time traveler. All right, let's end this. We're good. You're just going.
Yeah, we're getting too philosophical here.
So thank you everyone for listening to the Audio Shop podcast. If you've liked what you've heard for some godforsaken reason, you can scroll down and there's a picture of Jeff Lynne. He's the guy with the big glasses and the curly hair. Click on that. It'll take you to YouTube where all the past episodes, I think, I haven't checked. I'm pretty sure they're all there. All that I have is there. Some might be lost to the voids of time on Twitch. I'll have to check when I make the list of the albums we've done. And if you are listening on YouTube and you like what you hear, you can come on over to Twitch and listen to us live. There's no difference in experience, except you can make fun of us in the chat, which was pretty dead today. So we'll see you insulting us, don't worry, and we'll probably make a joke about it. And then if you want to give the Twitter, Cooper.
Yeah, if you want to see what we're going to be listening to any other week, come follow us at AudioShop14 on Twitter. We'll let you know what we're listening to in case you want to listen to it ahead of time. And also, it's been a while since we've talked about, but also suggestion box. If you're feeling like giving us something that maybe we should listen to.
Yeah, the reason I haven't mentioned the suggestion box, Cooper, is because we haven't touched it for like a year. We've got a lot of stuff in there. I haven't looked at it for probably just as long.
Look, it's a suggestion,
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're not beholden to it.
Let me look at the newest one was 2 months ago, Cooper. Oh God, there's so much.
We haven't mentioned it in a while.
Oh my God, there's not that many. The oldest one is 2 years old, Cooper.
Like I said, suggestion, loose term.
It's Matt's. So we should do another guest podcast soon.
Yeah. As we gear up for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Don't really want to listen to Dance Gavin Dance though, so let's do Green Day. Somebody recommended the Tropico soundtrack. We're not doing that. I'm sorry.
So yeah, we don't really mess with
Liam. I know this is you. We're not doing the Tropico soundtrack.
We don't really do soundtracks.
No. And then somebody wants Final Destination by Spot 'em Got 'em. That's Viv. I don't know what that is. That was the 2 month ago one. All right, let's end this. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Catch you later, shoppies.
See ya.